So our first article is about Julian Assange. The CIA, as usual, has been up to just freaking crazy shit. Like trying to, first they tried to assassinate him, then they tried to kidnap him, and now some documents have came out that just kind of further expose the extent of the crazy bullshit that they were trying to do in regards to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. If you don't already know, Julian Assange had leaked documents, the most documents and videos, the most famous one being Collateral Murder, which basically just showed what we already knew, confirmed what we already knew, that the US was committing war crimes left and right in the so-called war on terror. And they don't like it when their dirty laundry is exposed to the public. So let's go ahead and get into this article. So our first article comes from Jacobin, and it was written by Chip Gibbons. It's titled "Secret Documents Have Exposed the CIA's Julian Assange Obsession." Let's get right into it. Stefania Maurizi. Every time I read an article, bro, they gotta put the hardest freaking names possible to pronounce, dude. I suck at speaking. I'm getting better, though. Shit, this is practice. Anyway, Stefania Maurizi was no stranger to the Ecuadorian embassy in London. The Italian investigative reporter had worked as a partner journalist with WikiLeaks for all its major releases since 2009. Maurizi had also pursued litigation in 4 separate countries seeking to compel the governments to release information about Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. Assange, at that point, was trapped in the embassy. In 2012, Ecuador's democratic socialist government granted him political asylum, but the United Kingdom made clear they would arrest the journalist should he ever set foot outside the embassy. Maurizi had visited him a number of times. So this is like one of the only times where bureaucracy saved someone's ass. You know what I mean? Like, technically, embassies are considered like territory of the country that occupies that embassy, so that's how he's able to like skirt the US and UK like police and intelligence forces in there, or he's supposed to be able to. We'll get into it in this article. While Maurizi met with Assange on December 29th, 2017, embassy security held on to her electronics for the duration of the visit. As she talked to her journalistic counterpart, employees of the Spanish security firm UC Global accessed her devices, photographed them, disassembled one of her phones, and removed its SIM card. On at least one occasion, the same security contract took audio and video recordings of her meeting with Assange. Psychotic freaking shit, man. Come on. Since Assange had become an unexpected resident, the embassy beefed up its security by hiring Spanish security firm UC Global. In early 2017, UC Global had imposed a new regime on Assange's myriad of visitors. It demanded they turn over their passports and electronic devices when visiting the Australian journalist. UC Global also placed new video cameras inside the embassy. In spite of their claims to the contrary, those cameras recorded not just video, but audio. Unbeknownst to Assange's guest, UC Global was photographing their passports as well as attempting to access their electronic devices. According to former employees, UC Global's actions within the embassy may have been at the behest of a second client, U.S. intelligence services. For 3 years now, UC Global and its owner, David Morales, have been the subject of an ongoing criminal probe in Spain. A Spanish judge has been investigating whether Morales, a Spanish citizen, violated Assange's right to privacy and attorney-client privilege by spying on legal meetings. Morales is also being investigated for money laundering and bribery. The inquiry has increasingly focused on Morales' alleged ties to the CIA. In June, Spain's National High Court issued a subpoena for former CIA Director Mike Pompeo to testify about a possible CIA plot to assassinate Assange. So this is right out of the USA's counterintelligence playbook, man. You'll see it time and time again throughout history where they're not necessarily the smartest. They just have the most resources, man. And a lot of the times they try to brute force their geopolitical will across the globe in like half-ass attempts to subvert democracy and the people's will. There was talk about potential U.S. involvement in the assassination of the Haitian president that happened, I think, about 2 months ago, maybe, give or take. They were probably involved with the stuff going on with Maduro over in, man, which country was it actually? I think it was either Brazil or Venezuela, that where Maduro was from. The guy who declared himself president when he wasn't elected, and he was basically they were trying to make him the US's puppet, but it failed miserably, man. So a lot of the times, like I said, it's just brute force and violence that gets the CIA's directives put through. They're not some kind of like hyper intelligent boogeyman as they like to portray themselves. They're just they throw everything to the wall and see what sticks, and everything is on the table. You know what I mean? Why are conservatives anti-gay, but then turn out to be the most fruity people? Dude, it is all projection, bro. Like, I'm sure you hear it from everyone who talks about this shit, man. To be a conservative, you've got to have a lot of demons, in my opinion, dude. It's like, just shit that they haven't worked out inside, and so they project all that insecurity and like fear out into the world, and so they don't have to deal with it. At least that's my opinion, man. They go through all this goofy fucking crazy shit instead of just going to therapy, you know what I mean? They'd rather fucking kidnap and torture people than just fucking talk about their problems, all right. And it is not just in Spain where Pompeo and UC Global are facing legal scrutiny. In August, 2 American journalists, Charles Glass and John Goetz, joined with 2 of Assange's American lawyers, Margaret Ratner and Kunstler and Deborah Herbrecht, I don't know if they spelled that right, in bringing a lawsuit against former CIA Director Mike Pompeo, the CIA, UC Global, and Morales. The lawsuit alleges the copying of phones and electronic devices by UC Global was on behalf of the CIA and personally approved by Pompeo. As a result, their Fourth Amendment rights were violated. So like I said, the deep state, the national security apparatus were furious when Assange exposed them. And I actually have a companion article to this one. We're going to read just 3 paragraphs from that kind of goes into more detail as to how high up this went and how it's not just the right-wing fascists who want him taken down. It's also the neoliberal bureaucrats who want to shut down WikiLeaks as well. So let's get into that. So again, this is just another article from Jacobin by Chip Gibbons again. Yeah, same guy. There we go. Keeping us informed. The CIA tried but failed to tie WikiLeaks to Russian intelligence. Eager to evade any oversight, the CIA declared WikiLeaks a non-state intelligence agency, thus allowing them to act without presidential approval or congressional notice. The 2018 Intelligence Authorization Act, passed by Congress, declared that WikiLeaks and the senior leadership of WikiLeaks resemble a non-state hostile intelligence service, often abetted by state actors, and should be treated as such a service by the United States. This raises serious questions about what Congress knew. No subsequent legislations contain similar language. At this point, the CIA obsession took a dark turn. Executives within the agency requested sketches on how to assassinate Assange and other WikiLeaks figures involved with Vault 7. These plans were scuttled and don't appear to ever have made it beyond internal CIA discussions. Nonetheless, the fact that CIA leaders were requesting that assassination plans be drawn up is alarming, to say the least. While the assassination plans did not go far, the scheme to kidnap Assange made it to the White House. It perplexed National Security Council lawyers who noted that Assange hadn't even been charged with the crime and that it was unclear under what authority the CIA could seize Assange or even where they would hold him. So yeah, I wanted to bring that up. Assange literally did not commit any kind of crime. What he did is protected by whistleblower laws in the United States, but you already know how it is. There's a 2-tier justice system. the justice system for the peasants, where if you do something to upset the power structure, they'll put the boot on your neck as hard as possible. They'll drive you underground and make your life a living hell, as they did with Assange. But if you're someone like Trump or even Biden, who have both done fucked up things, who are both war criminals, they get away with it because it's all part of the US's plan for global dominance and political and economic control. So there's a little background over, the CIA's fucked up shit and handling WikiLeaks and Assange. So let's get back into the main article. Here we go. The earliest proof of surveillance came weeks before Assange was ultimately arrested. A group of Spanish nationals approached WikiLeaks with videos of Assange inside the embassy, demanding 3 million, I don't know if that's euros, 3 million some type of dollars for their return. WikiLeaks reached out to Spanish authorities, and editor-in-chief Kristen Hrafnsson traveled to Spain to meet with the extortionists as part of a sting operation. The extortionists were arrested, but there were still many questions. The story was quickly overshadowed. The day after WikiLeaks went public about the extortion attempt and the surveillance, Assange was arrested. So they got caught showing their ass, and then they retaliated immediately, man. Following Assange's arrest, the Spanish daily El País, which had covered the extortion plot, published accounts of former employees of UC Global who described what it was like watching over Assange and spying on his legal meetings. Additionally, a former employee of UC Global approached one of Assange's lawyers with revelations about the surveillance of legal meetings. Assange's legal team filed a criminal complaint against UC Global. At this point, the Spanish judiciary began a probe. The investigation initially took place under seal, but its existence became public in a dramatic way in September 2019 when UC Global's owner was arrested. It's going to get into what exactly UC Global is, but it's basically like a mercenary company. It's founded by this guy who kind of like he wanted to play badass and get into that black ops type shit, and he kind of succeeded, man. But again, the CIA is not necessarily competent, so they hired this guy who didn't really have the credentials to be doing this stuff, and he got caught. And we're going to get into all the crazy fuck shit that the CIA and Morales and his company UC Global got up to. Morales is a former Spanish Marine. According to a profile in El País, he admired the U.S. mercenary firm Blackwater and was inspired by it to start the company. He reportedly justified his status as a double agent by boasting, "I'm a mercenary through and through." If you don't know who Blackwater is, they were one of the biggest mercenary groups in the world, and they still might be. They were heavily involved with the U.S. military in Iraq and Afghanistan. The big problem with private military contractors is that they're way less accountable, and the statistics show that they're way more likely to commit war crimes and skirt international law to get that paycheck, so not off to a great start here. It was during this investigation into Morales that the pictures of Maurizi's electronic devices were discovered, but the most shocking evidence remains the testimony of former UC Global employees. 3 former UC Global employees have testified in Spain as protected witnesses, meaning their identities have been withheld from the public. 2 of them also testified as protected witnesses in the UK during Assange's extradition hearing, identified as Witness 1 and Witness 2. Their English language affidavits from this proceeding offer a portrait of UC Global's journey to what Morales called the dark side. So this dude is literally just a straight up LARPer. This dude is like, yeah, I'm going to go to the dark side, and there's going to be political espionage and intrigue, and I'm going to be a badass. Like, and this it's so typical of these people, man. Like, they do such fucked up shit, but a lot of them are just so childish and simple-minded about it, man. That's why they get sucked up by the machine who uses people's ignorance and insecurity to do these fucking terrible, fucked up things, According to Witness 1, UC Global was a small company that solely had contracts with the Ecuadorian government in addition to providing security for the embassy. They also, in addition to providing security for the embassy, they also provided security for President Rafael Correa's daughters. Morales began traveling to the United States by himself for security expositions. Although UC Global was small, holding the security contract for the high-profile Ecuadorian embassy in London would be impressive to his clients. In 2017, Morales announced to his employees that the company had joined what he called the dark side. Witness One learned this meant that Morales had entered into illegal agreements with U.S. authorities to supply them with sensitive information about Mr. Assange and Rafael Correa. Morales began frequent trips to the U.S. to visit what he referred to as our American friends. Right out of a fucking bad movie, man. Upon further inquiry, Morales confirmed to Witness One that the friends were U.S. intelligence. Morales' wealth inexplicably grew following his trips to the U.S. He also began ordering surveillance within the embassy. Believing he was selling the information to the enemy, Witness One left UC Global and informed Assange attorneys of the surveillance. So the article continues, and it gets into how there was this freaking, like, it's out of a fucking James Bond movie, like, I'm telling you. Basically, he had got hired by this billionaire to, like, guard his freaking yacht when it was in the Mediterranean Sea, but he basically used that position to continue this plot against Assange and with his spying, and I'm sure the billionaire was in on it, man. When the thing with billionaires and the wealthy is that they already have everything materially, so they get bored and they're like, okay, well, maybe I'll play at being a fucking supervillain now, you know? So we're gonna get into it. It's fucking wacky. Morales' newfound allegiance to the dark side coincided with another security contract. Morales was paid to personally oversee the security of billionaire Sheldon Adelson's yacht when it entered the Mediterranean Sea. While the contract to guard Adelson's yacht in the Mediterranean was lucrative for Morales personally, to Witness One it made little sense. The yacht only entered the Mediterranean for brief periods and had its own security team. In addition to being a wealthy casino magnate, Adelson was a major donor to the Republican Party and was the largest donor to Donald Trump. He was also a major backer of former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and hard-right positions on Israel. Adelson objected to AIPAC's formal support of the two-state solution. So he already sounds like a beautiful, compassionate human being, man. Hell yeah. Witness 2 confirms the overarching narrative of Witness 1, including that Morales told employees the company had gone to the dark side. Cringe, man. Come on. His references to American friends, frequent trips to the United States, inexplicable wealth, and security contracts for Adelson's yacht. After installing new cameras with the embassy that recorded sound, a fact Witness 2 concealed from both Assange and the embassy, Morales told Witness 2 that the Americans' friends wanted real-time access to all of the security cameras. I really could not imagine being in Assange's situation, man. It must have been just incredibly harrowing, man. Like, multiple huge government organizations out to literally murder you, spying on you at all times, your friends and family, man. Like, he tried to keep the birth of his children secret because he was scared of what these intelligence agencies were going to do to his family. You know, they're vicious and vindictive, man. It's no joke. It's not looking good, unfortunately. You know, he probably is going to end up getting convicted, but I hope justice will prevail somehow, man. We'll have to see. Morales' American friends were particularly interested in listening in on Assange's meeting with his legal team. Many of the requests on behalf of the American friends were communicated by Morales to his staff during his frequent stays at a Las Vegas hotel owned by Adelson. Morales conveyed to Witness 2 other requests from the American friends that went beyond surreptitious recordings. While in the embassy, Assange fathered 2 children with his now wife Stella Assange. Stella and Julian Assange took steps to conceal this fact, fearing for the safety of their children. Nonetheless, either UC Global or the company's American friends began to suspect the truth. The American friends wanted Witness 2 to steal the diapers of one of Assange's children in order to establish Assange's paternity. That is some deeply disturbing bullshit right there, bro. Like, well, first of all, why do they even need that paternity, man? What the fuck are they gonna do to those babies, bro? That's just sick, man. Who the fuck thought of that, man? The Americans' request would take even darker turns. By late 2017, they were increasingly desperate to get Assange out of the embassy. Morales conveyed several suggestions from the Americans to UC Global staff. According to Witness 2, this including leaving the embassy door open so that unknown parties could come in off the street and kidnap Assange. Poisoning Assange was also brought up. Yeah, I remember reading about that on the news, man. They were trying to literally hire like UK police officers to go in there and arrest him off the books. You know, they were going to set up something where like they wouldn't have the security systems working and just straight up kidnap him like they were the fucking mafia, bro. It's dark stuff, man. Definitely dark and scary shit. In 2021, over a year and a half after the UC Global employees shared their experiences, Yahoo News released a bombshell story based on former US government sources about the CIA's secret war plans against WikiLeaks. And mind you, again, they did nothing illegal. All they did was expose the crimes, capital C crimes, that the US military had committed, as well as crimes of other regimes around the world. And of course, they don't like that because every single state regime today, every single one of them are bad actors, and they only care about the power politics and the spreading of imperialism, imperialism and corporate soulless expansion, where we are. The CIA received direct footage from within the embassy, plotted to kidnap Assange, and toyed with the idea of assassinating him. That U.S. government sources have detailed CIA plots that mirror those of the UC Global Witness presents fairly powerful corroboration of the most serious allegations. Yahoo's investigation also started the CIA covert operation. Yahoo's investigation also stated the CIA covert operations escalated dramatically as Trump's CIA chief, Pompeo, was incensed by the so-called Vault 7 disclosures detailing highly classified CIA spying techniques. This also lines up with the testimony of the UC Global employees who say the company's actions ramped up considerably after Trump's election, which is not surprising. Trump surrounded himself with the biggest neocon war hawks on the planet, man. Stacked his freaking cabinet with war criminals. So they're some of the most bloodthirsty, fascist, American can do no wrong types on the planet, man. Like I said. The pivotal moment per Yahoo in the CIA's decision to consider kidnapping Assange came after they caught wind that Ecuador might make Assange a diplomat to another country. Assange's legal team was willing to consider countries that struck a defiant posture against the United States, including Venezuela, Bolivia, or Cuba. The Ecuadorian government instead suggested Russia, which had granted Edward Snowden asylum. Assange rejected the idea, fearing it would fuel further conspiracy theories. UC Global captured footage and audio of the meeting where this was discussed, meaning it likely played a pivotal role in the CIA escalation of its covert campaign against Assange. So Assange, he had state operators who were opposed to, the U.S. doing all this crazy shit, and he almost got out, man. He did, but I kind of do agree with him not going to Russia because he's right. For the reactionary forces in the world, that would just, in their eyes, prove their point, and he would probably get even more vicious plots and schemes put against him and his family. So it's a tricky situation, man. When you're fighting against the dominant forces and on the entire planet, it's like you have a limited amount of options, and most of the time you lose, unfortunately, Faced with the claims of his former employees, UC Global owner Morales has denied working for U.S. intelligence. Initially, he denied any surveillance took place at all. After that position became impossible to maintain, Morales switched his story, claiming it was authorized by Ecuador's then ambassador to the UK, Carlos Abad. Like I said, they're always super sloppy. They never hire people who are professionals. They hire people who they think can just get in there and cause the most damage to their enemies as quick as possible, man. Like, I remember with you know what? Let me look up where that guy was from because I want to give you guys accurate. Maduro. Oh, not Maduro. Who was that guy? Fuck. I can't remember his name, but the fucking fake president in one of those Latin American countries, man. Like him, he had worked with the CIA to send like a boat of like 2 boats full of Americans to try and overthrow the fucking government over there, bro. You know, it's like these plans are not thought through, man. You'd think that they would have learned after the embarrassing stunt was the fucking Bay of Pigs, but they never learn, man. They want to try to keep up that global dominance, and they'll do anything that they can within their power to do so. That's just the end of it, bro, you know?